Hello and welcome, pedal nerds. The camera is totally crooked. We can't leave that. Come on. Better. And of course, it's kind of Christmassy. So we have to turn on. We already had 1 Sunday, 2 Sundays, 3, and tomorrow is Christmas Eve. So this thing is on. Thank you, Jan von Dries from Orion Effects, for sending this over. That's crazy shit. Crazy shit. So, it is almost Christmas, so we're gonna do a red pedal because Christmas! With a green cup. You've seen the track, you've seen the slideshow, you've heard the sounds. Why are you still here? Look, one of my students gave me little bears to eat. How cute is that? So, the Wampler Pinnacle Deluxe V2. It's like, The Wampler Pinnacle Deluxe version 2 is the second version in the Pinnacle series. There's a little one, and then there's a bigger one, and then now there's a better bigger one, a BB. Let me go through the controls for you. Later in this video, you'll see a little interview I did with Brian Wampler about all the pedals he sent me, so I'm gonna cut in the stuff about the Pinnacle and all the questions I had into here so you can see me talking to him. Anything that I'm telling you now probably has already been answered back then, which is going to be in the future for you, so total Doctor Who shit going on. We have a boost. Let's talk about the boost in a second. Volume is clear. What you can't see is on the side, there's a little switch, which is the sag switch. Some of the pedals from Wampler, I had the Plexi Drive Deluxe here, and I've got the Sovereign still to do for you guys. Both of them have a little bit of a problem with higher output pickups. They will go into what people that know shit, not me, call sag, which means that it compresses a lot. So you hit the low E, and it really depends on the guitar, the pickups. Brian said it's a very special combination. You'll hear that later. And they will compress. And it can be something desirable, but it can be something that gets on your nerves. So the Pinnacle Deluxe has the sag switch where you can actually change the circuit to be more compatible with higher output pickups. Volume, we have an active EQ, as Brian says. Very, very cool. Super flexible, but don't go and dial it in all the way. Unless you really want that, because it adds stuff. It's not a just take away EQ, it's an I can give you more than there is EQ. Active. Gain, and a modern vintage switch, and a boost gain switch, which brings us to the boost knob. The pedal can be powered with 9 to 18 volt. 18 will give you more headroom. Right now we've got 9 volt hooked up, and it comes delivered with a battery, which is pretty damn cool. Not all of them do that. Watch my unboxing if you want to see how it comes. Come the little sack, which is very cool, very nice. So, still fighting the cough, by the way. The boost, if you have it on gain, it pretty much gives you kind of like a second setting for your gain knob. So you have the gain down here, you're hitting boost here on gain. Once I engage that, the gain knob, it's kind of like turning the gain knob up further. So in a live situation, you can get more gain out of your pedal if you wanted that for a solo. So you could have like a rhythm setting and a solo setting and boost the gain. If you're going into boost, it's not just clean boosting it and giving it more input in the front end. No, it actually is putting our favorite little green pedal in front of there. Can I say what that is? What? I don't know. It makes the tubes scream, okay? That's all I can say. Those pedals makes tubes scream. They make it. So it is kind of, because this is kind of a pedal that does the modded Big M amps of yesteryear, of back then in the days. You know, they modded the plexis, and then they went, wah! And that's kind of what that does. And back in the day, we used the green pedal. I wasn't even alive then. Yes, I was. The green pedal was used to push those amps, take them a little bit of the bass out, but give him more gain. And that's exactly what this does. It lowers the bass a little bit, as far as I can tell, and gives it more gain. So you want that green boost in front of it, that can be achieved. Behind the Pinnacle Deluxe version 2, I have the Faux Tape Echo version 2, which is just wow. Video will be filmed right after this. Later in this video, we're gonna go through, I think, 6 or 7 amps that I have set up so you can hear this pedal in front of a whole bunch of different amps. Right now, we're going into the... No, wrong hand again. Carl Martin, Custom Shop 50, it's KT77 loaded, it's a very stable amp, 4 pedals. Great, it's a boutique amp, okay? It's nice. I have this Berumen, very super nice guitar here with Siricote, flame maple, binding. Her name is Quilty. She has 4-season pickups from our friend Bob Gabriel. It is an incredibly beautiful guitar. And in the US, they clock in around $3,000, which is absolutely, it's a steal. It's just wrong. So he takes not enough money for these. And I have 2 push here for single coil. So here's my single coil sound in the neck position, going into the 2 notes Torpedo Studio on a 412 cab. Humbucker. Very rich sound. Very likely most of the time we're going to spend in the bridge position because we're talking about screamy sounds. Oh, vintage modern switches between vintage and modern pretty much gives you a whole different pedal if you ask me. Well, the pedal most certainly gives you the difference between the pickups. This is not a guitar tone either, it's a guitar tone multiplier. I'm spitting. C diminished. I have no idea why I just played that. Let's see what it can do with low gain sounds on single coil. Why not? A little bit more gain right here, but we're gonna boost the mids, and that actually results in a very nice solo tone for lower gain stuff with a little bit of tape echo. And C minor, why not? Come the fuck on, that's nice. Okay, tape echo off. Whoa, I mean the lead tones, seriously. Guys, the lead tones. We're getting to that. Fatness, serious why-did-it-y. That's a word. Let me record a loop and play around with it so you can get a feel for the EQ. With more gain comes more bass. So more gain, maybe dial the bass down. There's two different approaches to designing a pedal like this. Either make the EQ very subtle and you dictate to the user what you want the pedal to sound like, and you give them a little bit of control to adjust to the amp and the guitar, but that's it. Or you go completely overboard, like Brian does, and you give the user all the options, which is great when you have a user that knows what they're doing. If you are a newbie, you can set this up to crazy territory. So, on the other hand, that gives me options. So, he decides this. His choice is giving us options, which personally I like. So, crazy shit. Let's go to. I like a little bit more mids, a little bit less bass, and we're gonna go to the gain and see how much gain we can get with the gain switch set to the boost. That's pretty much like taking the gain knob and dialing it up, but you can do it with your foot. That's neat. So let's see what happens if I push it with the boost, which means we're putting the green pedal in front of it. The mids, it gets noisier, but also the mids change a little bit and the bass drops out. Nice. So that, kind of this right here would be my setting for Screamy Lead, with of course a little bit tape echo. Let's check this out. playing that right. Who gives a flying rat's ass except for Satch? And you would have to play that with that guitar over there. That's the Satriani guitar. Anyway, wow, lead tones. Okay, let's say more modern rhythm tones. Yep. Flick the switch to modern. The high end will come up. The aggressivity, that's a word, it gets increased. There's increased aggressivity. Check it out. It doesn't even sound like a plexi anymore, or a modded kind of wah amp. It's two pedals in one, if you ask me. One that's nice and screamy and singy and harmonic, and one that wants to punch your face in. Wow. All of a sudden, we are where Mark Tremonti would be. Modern, high gain, boosted mids. I'm not shitting you. You can have serious fun with this box. I did with my signature Harley Benton guitar, which is right there, right here. Oh yeah, my signature Harley Benton. I put the two pickups. I went in the middle position, put the back in outer phase single coil, and check out this one section of this track I improvised. What happened with the tone there? For me, a revelation in sound. I was gone. I was like, what? Check this out. Let's go to the section where I talked to Brian. I have no idea what we talked about, but here's Brian Wampler and me talking about, I guess, that pedal. Let's go to the Pinnacle, which means we're probably in the Pinnacle video now. Mm-hmm. I've only played this for a few minutes, and then I had to go to dinner, otherwise Leslie would have killed me. Because I had so much fun, I was playing, and then it goes, bing, dinner. I'm like, yeah, damn it. That was fun. That's a great pedal. First, I turned it on. I was like, wait a second. What's going on here? That's cutting my head off. but I was on modern.
Yes, so it's a lot brighter on that.
That has a lot of high end there, but I can see where it's nice for actual more modern, even metally sounds, where you could scoop the mids a little bit. But if you wanted the rounded off, more classic sound, you go to vintage and everything's fine. Well,
there's a couple things going on there, and of course, it's labeled modern or vintage. I actually put bright switches on just about everything because, one guy's going to be playing AC 15, another guy's going to be playing, a PV Classic 50 or something, and two totally different opposite ends of the spectrum. And so I'm trying to make it so it works with every platform. You know what I mean? So that's, lots of EQ options, lots of different gain options. Like I said, I always try to put that high cut on there whenever possible. But you can't, if you are in modern, I don't know what amp you're using, but like let's say you're using like a blackface style, if you turn the treble down to, I don't know, maybe 9 o'clock or so, and just keep it right around there, it gets a much more, I want to say Alice in Chains type of thing, maybe a little more, not so vintagey, not so vintage Marshally.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that was really my whole thought process is just making it where, like, if a guy is playing a real chimey amp, then keep it on the vintage setting, more or less.
Yep. And there was something I wanted to talk to you about that. I have limited experience with your pedals. So far, it's been the Plexi Drive Deluxe, the Sovereign, and the Thomann. But in that experience, your EQs they have a huge range.
Yes.
Which you've just said you do this so that it works with any kind of amp.
Right.
It's they go kind of into obscene ranges sometimes. It feels like, okay, if I actually go all the way, it's completely not usable for anyone. But but depending on the amp. So you do this deliberately so that.
Yeah, I mean, I always think of it like I'd rather have it available than not have it.
Okay.
And so let's say like the Plexi Drive, that EQ, you're probably not going to need 15 decibels of extra mids, but, you may use it at, 3 and 9 o'clock, between 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, maybe your usable areas. You know what I mean? And I would rather have those there and some extra that you really don't need, rather than someone saying, "Man, I just wish I had a little bit more mids."
It sometimes just reminds me, and don't hate me now, of the Metal Zone approach. Because with the Metal Zone, there's a lot of settings that really don't make sense.
Where's the end call? Where's that button?
I'm not saying it sounds like a Metal Zone, but the thing is, the problem with the Metal Zone is, the knobs are so tiny that finding that sweet spot is really difficult because the knobs simply don't allow for that fine tuning, and there's just so much plus minus that you don't need. Whereas here, it's an awful lot easier to actually set it up in the usable area. So but of course we know guitar players, and we can't trust all of them. So let's put it this way: if you don't quite know exactly what you're doing with a Wampler pedal, there's a chance of setting it up in a way that doesn't necessarily represent what your pedal can do if you go crazy.
Right. And another thing, like kind of along those same lines, is, I mean, everybody has like their suggested settings on how to get get this tone by setting the knobs this way. And it's just, I mean, even though we have those, I always tell people you got to go by your ears. Because who knows what kind of amp you're using, what kind of guitar you're using, how you have it set, what kind of speakers you're using. I mean, there's so much to that. You can't really have like, here's the Eddie Van Halen setting. It just doesn't work.
That doesn't work. Actually, I think I'm gonna brag just a little bit. Wait a second.
Sure.
Yeah. I think I'm one of the few, or probably the only one now, doing demos who has the capability of sending a drive pedal through a whole bunch of different amps, because I have this Ampete switcher, and so we just did some. I don't know, is Chris here? Chris is back there. He's sleeping.
He's gone. Yeah,
we just did some pedals from Chris, like a fuzz kind of thing, and we send it through 6 different amps on the fly, and that really opens up. Okay, wait a second. I might not have that detail, but I have an AC30, and all of a sudden you can hear it in a totally different light. And when I did the new TC pedals, that metal pedal has a scoop that almost kind of takes the pedal out of the equation completely. It scoops out so much. And I was bitching about that. I said, what is that good for? Then we switched to the AC30, which has so many mids that all of a sudden the scoop made total sense.
Right.
So I'm going to send these things through a whole bunch of amps on the fly, which I hope really gives your audience and people interested in Wampler a much better understanding of, okay, this is an amp that's closer to what I have, so it works for me in this setting.
Right.
Which is makes my videos longer by adding this, but I really think it adds value because you know what's going on. I didn't understand quite exactly what the boost knob does, and it is gain and boost. I haven't read the manual yet. Right.
Yeah, I probably didn't send one with you because I had to reprint them. We had a mistake in the manuals.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know yet. I haven't looked in there.
Okay, yeah. So there may not be. There's one on the website you can download. I'll send you the link if you need me to. So let me explain it real quick. So there's two different types of boosts on it. The toggle switch is a boost that's going to kind of restructure the gain stages inside of the pedal. Okay. The boost stomp switch works with that knob, and it's kind of like let's call it a tube screamer knob. So it's like running a tube screamer type circuit into the Pinnacle. So it's really like two pedals in one.
So when I'm on boost, I add it and I'm pretty much pushing the circuit more with an overdrive type thing.
If you turn the toggle boost on and you turn the stomp switch boost on, you're giving it a gigantic amount of gain there.
Okay.
So it's basically, that way you're the main Pinnacle circuit is going to have as much gain as it can get. Plus, you're stacking another basically pedal on top of it.
Okay.
Right. But it's before it, so it's like I said, it's like running a tube screamer into a distortion pedal.
Okay. Awesome.
So it tightens things up. That's the whole reason for it, like that sort of circuit. And it's not an exact circuit, but it's loosely around that. And it just tightens everything up, really.
Okay. I'll have to play around with it. I just had fun. I was playing leads and I was playing into the tape echo, and it was just, whoa. I was like, there's my lead sound. And I really had fun. I played around for a little bit with the sag button, only that it says sag. And I don't know if there's more sag when it's pushed in or pushed out. I couldn't feel it.
Okay. Right? Yeah. So when you push in, it's going to limit the sag.
And limit it. Okay, good.
Yeah. So what? And the reason for that, we had some comments with some people with some guitars with some pickups. It would just, they'd hit a note or they'd hit it real hard and it would kind of compress too much.
That was probably one of those people was probably me.
Okay.
Not about this one, but about another pedal.
Okay, yeah. So what that switch does is it kind of changes the front end of that circuit. So if you're using that type of, that whole setup, it's going to limit the signal that first stage sees.
Okay.
So, if you're using, like, let's say you're using a Strat or something, it's probably not going to affect it much. You may not notice a whole lot of difference, except you may lose just a smidgen of gain. But if you're using something else that's sagging a whole bunch, you'll hit that switch and you'll see it's a gigantic difference.
So thank you, Brian, for that. We need to go to the different amps. That's what we need to do. I knew I forgot something. Let's go to vintage, not boosted, EQ up, a little bit of gain, and we're going to go do a nice, rocky kind of 80s thing. Why not? So first we go through the amps clean, so you know what we're dealing with. Not all of them are equally clean, some of them are maybe breaking up a little bit. I tried to set them up equally. It's tough, they all have different wattages and all this. But let's do this. pedal. Yes, I know, vast differences between the apps. So what do I think about the Wampler Pinnacle Deluxe version 2? Well, I think that's a lot of stuff to say, and every single time you have to write it in an email, in whatever, in the editing, in file names, it's always Wampler Pinnacle Deluxe V2. The PDV2. I should have written that, goddammit. Wampler Pinnacle PDV2. I was skeptical about it because I had experiences with Wampler pedals before that had too much sag, and the stuff I played would have just been... It would have pumped too much. This doesn't have this problem at all because it has that sag switch where you can adjust it to your input level, which I didn't have to do right now. I just had it to a lower input if you know what I mean. It is so incredibly flexible. Lead tones, it does exceptionally well. I mean, we're talking exceptional. To the point where you put this in front of the Wampler Tape Echo, and I would say I never need anything else for lead tones ever again. That's it. Put it in vintage, crank up the gain with the green pedal in front of it as boost, the mids up, and the notes are just there forever. They're compressing, they're singing, they're screaming. It still reacts to your pickups. Those tracks that I played where I did the leads, I was happy. And why do we buy these stupid boxes? To be rock stars? No. Because we need them? No, that's what we tell our girlfriends, okay? Or your wives. No. We buy them to reach that moment, that one moment within a song, or that moment during the day where you're like, and you're just like, whoa! Right, I was Steve Vai there for a second, or Joe Perry, or even if you have to, Slash. Whoever you want to be, we want to reach that moment where we just like, whoa, I'm so damn cool right now. I'd so do me. And the pedal makes you feel like you want to do yourself. If you know what I'm trying to tell you. It is just great. And if you want to go into the more modern direction and be pow, flip the switch, go down a bit, go up a bit, pow, pow, pow. It can do that. It can be very aggressive. Yes. In the US, what's 240, 239 or something like this? Not overly expensive, but not inexpensive, okay? That's not a toy. Yes, it is. It's a good toy. In Germany, I think 279. Not a cheap pedal. come on, you have the boost, you have the green pedal built in, and if all you do with the green pedal is boost your gain pedal, then you're saving $80 right there. Or even more. You have the modern section, so your rhythm tones are pow. You have the vintage section, so it's wah. It's plur, Wampler. It's all in there. So I think the price is 100% justified, if you ask me. I'm not a fan of red. It's my only problem. Who cares? This is just a great box. Period. Merry Christmas to you all.